You know, a lot of people ask and wonder why they can't keep their indoor palms and plants looking good and alive. A lot of times they have issues with them getting brown tips or losing limbs or just dying altogether. Today we're going to talk about the correct way to water an indoor palm or plant and keep it living for years and years and years. This here is a Christmas palm, which makes a great indoor ornamental. It has a couple of small lady palms underneath it, as you can see. But today we're just going to focus on this Christmas palm here. Now, indoor palms and most indoor plants like to generally be dry. You want to let them dry out almost completely before watering them. As a general rule of thumb that I use, lift up the pot occasionally and feel how heavy it is. And once the pot feels fairly light to you, wait just a couple more days or even another week. Even if the pot feels light, you want it to almost completely dry out, which discourages fungal growth and mold and other issues in the soil. Now, once you've waited your extra few days to several days, and the pot is obviously very dry and in need of water, a pot this size probably only needs to be watered about once a month, actually, for the plant to be healthy. This is about a 10-gallon pot. So once it feels extremely light and you've already waited your few extra days, it's time to water. Now, most people will water an indoor plant by filling up a glass and pouring the glass right into the container, typically with a saucer or plate underneath the container to hold any excess water that comes through. This method is wrong. The problem is general tap water has chlorine and salts and other contaminants, if you will, that are okay for humans, but for plants, when they fill the soil and saturate the soil in excess amounts, the palm tree absorbs all of the H2O, the pure water, and all of the salts and minerals and everything else don't get absorbed. Generally, a small amount may, but all of the salts and everything else that don't get absorbed stay in the soil. This causes a change in the soil's pH. This causes buildups. It can cause a crusty little ring around the outside. And eventually what this does is it alters the pH and alters the health of the soil of your indoor palm, and you begin to get brown tips on the... Now, here we have a perfect example of what brown tipping can look like. And it slowly starts at the edge of the palm frond and continues inward, like this. The spotting here is from something else, but at the tips of the leaves you can see where it's traveling inward. That's from unhealthy soil. So, what is the correct way to water it in? Well, in order to water indoor palms, you don't use a glass at all. Keep your glass in the kitchen for drinking. Just take it out of here. What you do use is either your hose outdoors, if the palm or the container is large. Turn your hose on and fill the top. Make sure that there's adequate holes in the bottom for drainage. Remove any sauce or anything from underneath, and you fill the top of the container. Now you can see that I place mulch on the top of the soil. This is cypress mulch, and what this does is it holds in moisture, prevents weeds. It looks nice. It's just good for the overall health and appearance of the indoor palm. But just continue to fill it and fill it and fill it, and let all the water drain out of the bottom, as you can see. And you want to fill it up and let it drain at least 2 to 3 times. What this is doing is it's leaching the soil in the container. In other words, it's running so much water through that it is cleaning the soil and cleansing it, while at the same time soaking it for the palm to absorb water at. Now, when you water it using this method, there's no excess salt buildups or mineral buildups, because you have the same fresh water every time you water it is going through the pot. In other words, The plant is soaking up H2O and leaving behind some salt mineral deposits, but by leaching it, you can see it's all flowing out of the bottom. It's cleansing it. It's cleansing the soil. Every time you water it, it's cleansing it. This palm has been growing indoors for about 2 years now, and if you look at the tips of the leaves, there's no brown tipping. Perfectly healthy. All the fronds are healthy. The water is still draining out. Now, what I typically do is, once you've filled it a few times, you lean it on its side and place it up against something at an angle. And this helps the water drain out more easily out of the one hole. Leave it like this either for a few hours or overnight, and once you know that there's no more water leaking or draining out of the bottom, it's safe to bring the palm back inside. Okay, it's been a few hours and all of the water is completely drained out of the bottom of our palm. So I'm going to take it and place it back in its original spot. Make sure it's adjusted correctly. And because there's no excess water, there's no need for a saucer underneath. You can opt to put a saucer underneath to keep any dirt from falling out of the pot, as you can see. However, it's not necessary. And now our indoor palm is watered for about the next month. Looks beautiful.